Welcome to the Skylab tutorial on OneSignal. OneSignal is how we send out notifications to the users on the app via in-app notifications or via push notifications. When you first log into OneSignal, you're going to land on this screen. Notice that these apps are all in alphabetical order, so I can either search this way and through these, or I can simply type in the name of the app here. In this case, I want to work on Skylab, so I'm going to click on Skylab 3.0. There are three places that we're going to spend the most time on. That's going to be up here at this top corner. If you want to hit this drop down button, you can rearrange and find different apps. We're going to be inside messages a lot, and we're going to be inside audiences. So if I click on audiences, you'll see that I have three different tabs up here: segments, users, and test users. Test users are for any user that you want to send test notifications to. So you might want to add yourself here so you can test the notification before you make it live. Notice this particular app doesn't have test users. So I'm going to go to users. I'm going to look through these. I've been on the app recently. I know that I have an iPhone. And if I want to verify that this person is me, I can simply take this location point, copy and paste it into a web browser, and hit enter, and see that that location matches mine. And because it does, I'm going to come over here to this three dots on the left-hand side, and I'm going to say add to test subscribers, and then I'm going to type in my name so we know that this particular account belongs to me. So that is how you create a test user. Now I'm going to go to segments. Segments is how you segment the exact group of users that you're trying to target. For example, this one is wrong. Let me delete it. If I wanted to create, let's say, an onboarding, this one is wrong too. Okay, let's say that I wanted to create a new segment, and I want this to be for inactive users who have been inactive for 24 hours. They've been inactive. I'm going to say their last session was greater than, we'll say 24 hours. And then we're going to say their last session was less than 25 hours. And we're going to say create segment. If I wanted to create one for brand new users on the app who haven't been on the app for more than about a day, I would name this one something like users on app 24 hours. And then I would say first session is greater than 24 hours, and their first session is less than 25 hours, and hit create. We typically only use these first and last sessions. We don't use the rest of these, but feel free to research these, play around with them, and figure out what they do. But we always focus on just onboarding and inactive users, so we only have use for these first two. All right, so once you've created your segments inside audiences, you're then going to go over here to messages, where you can then create and send out your messages to users, notifications. You'll see that you have the ability to send out a quick push notification. You can send out in-app notifications, email, SMS, templates, and automated. We typically don't use the email and SMS as much, because why would you do that when you can go directly to the phone and push it directly to the phone? So that's how we typically set up our push notifications. And then we do a lot of in-app ones, especially onboarding tutorials and announcements. And then anything that you want to set up for a regular basis, you would use templates and automated both. So you set up the template first, and then you create an automation using that template. So we'll start with push notification. On this tab, all I have to do is hit new message. I'm going to tell it I want a new push message notification. I'll name it here. This is just for your eyes only so that you know what you're doing. Then you decide, am I sending it to all users in the app, or am I only sending it to a particular user? When you say particular user, it always gives you this default. Always exit out of that and then select your own segment, such as the ones that we created, or the ones that are already automatic. See how we created this one? So I could have done that one, or you can select from the ones that they default create. All right, you can even exclude certain people if you wanted to. Now let's scroll down. Here you're going to add a title, a subtitle, and a message. So let's just type in title. We're going to type in subtitle and message so that you see the layout. Notice that over here I only see title, and message, I don't see sub. That's because I'm on the Android view. If I go to iOS, I will see all three. So note that Android users will not see the subtitles. So we recommend not using that unless you're specifically targeting Android users. You can use emojis in here, and then you can even upload links and some quick videos. Once you have set all of this up, scroll down. You can decide if you want to send this immediately, by a specific time, or optimize it. Intelligent delivery is where it sends per, like for example, if I check my phone typically at 9 a.m. and Joe checks his at 11 p.m. and Mary checks hers at noon, all three of us would get this message at the time that we typically open our apps, and therefore it would be kind of sporadic throughout that day. This one is highly recommended because you're for sure hitting users when they're most likely to see the notification and interact with it. That way you're not interrupting them during times that are busy for them. This final one is per time zone. So if I wanted to make sure it went out at 2 o'clock in the morning to everybody in their own time zone, I would select that one, review and save, or I can save it as a draft to be sent whenever I'm ready to send it. So that is your push notifications. I'm going to move on to in-app notifications. In-app notifications, I'm just going to run through one that's already created. If you're opening one that's already created, you're going to land on this screen where it just kind of gives you some basic information about it. You're going to want to hit this action button and hit edit in order to see it. And this is where you'll do the actual editing. So notice you can set up navigation to be at the top, center, bottom, or full. If you do any of these three, you're not able to do multiple at once, but if you hit this full screen button, you'll be able to create a new carousel, which essentially allows you to have more than one notification area. So if I hit like card 1, for example, I can set this one up, and then if I go back to card 2, it looks like it just duplicated it. It did. But you'll be able to set up to 10 notifications. So this is how we do our onboarding pop-up tutorial, where we're explaining actions and the home wall and all that kind of stuff. It has to be on full for that. We're going to go back to center for now so I can walk you through the settings. This first one is an image. You can either upload a link. Looks like that's what the default example has done. And you can even make that link tagged to a URL so that when a user clicks on it, it takes them somewhere. This is for the image at the top. Notice that I can say it dismisses it on the first click, and I can adjust margins. These boxes, by the way, can be duplicated or removed. So you can either delete it or duplicate it if you want to have more than one image, if you want to have more than one text, etc. So this text, you can see that it's right there where it says woohoo. Maybe I like a couple of extra O's or an exclamation mark. Notice it updates in real time on the preview over here. I can select this if I want, and I can change the color to any color I'd like, the font size, and all those familiar to you font applications. I'm going to hit this drop down, and then you've got the margins again. Then I have more text down here. I can do all the same things with it, and I can even take this and adjust it if I wanted the woohoo to be at the bottom. I would then simply click and drag, and then bam. All right, so you can add more images if you'd like, but let's talk about the buttons. You can create a button. See how this one says get started? You can rename it. You can do any of the font stuff that you're used to, formatting, and then you can upload your URL here for what you want to happen when somebody clicks on that. And you can add more buttons if you want, and you can even remove the close button, which I don't recommend. Always keep your close button there. That way users know how to exit out of it. All right, this one is a little bit kind of discreet, but if you click this background drop down, I can then quickly change the background that you're looking at for the entire thing. That way it doesn't blend in or get lost with that stark white background. So that is how you change the background, or you can upload an image. And on the background, you can even add a URL so that if a user clicks anywhere on the background, it takes them to that link. And then when you scroll down, you'll see that you have triggers. You want this to happen when the user opens the app or during a certain time period. When is it going to be dismissed? You make your selection here. You can tell it when to start showing, so it doesn't have to show immediately as soon as you create this. Do you want it to show forever or for a particular time? Once every time the trigger conditions are satisfied, which is typically opening the app, or just multiple times, and then you can select how many times you want it to repeat, and that's per day, and etc. Then you would just hit update message. In this case, I am not going to save this message. I'm going to move on. So that was push notifications and app notifications. Now, if you wanted to do a scheduled notification, we would have to first create our segment inside audience, and then we would go to template. Underneath template, you would create the push notification you want to do. So let's do new push notification, and then we're going to say test. Perfect. Down here, I'm going to say whatever I want it to say. Let's say, don't forget to share the app. June is our share the app challenge. Oops, I forgot that. Perfect. And then as you can see, I can upload an image if I need to. And then down here, I can tell it whether I want this to be a high priority, where it will bring that notification to the front of other notifications. When do I want this to go live? And I would come down here and save this. Before I send this out anywhere, I might come to my test notifications, check just me, and then click send test push. Notice that I can have multiple different test users and only send it to the ones that I selected. For now, I'm going to go down here and hit the save button to save my work. It says test. Now I go to automated. I'm going to create a new automated push. I'm going to also call this one test so it matches the last one. I'm going to say send to a particular segment, and I'm going to send it to that segment that we created. How about users on the app for 24? And then I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to say, what template do you want to send? I'm going to tell it the test template. And then it's going to show over here what I created for the test template. That is the one that we just worked on. And then I'm going to scroll down here and say, do I want to send immediately, intelligent, custom per time zone? If the user returns after a certain amount of time. So then I have all these options. And once I select that, so maybe I want to do, once I select that, I can either save it as a draft or mark it as active. Do I want to deliver it more than once? This is where I can say I want it to deliver every day. And that would be how you do repeat notifications. Save as draft, make active. Oops, did I not select? Let's say 4 p.m. There we go, save as draft, and now we have this. Always send these to your test devices to make sure. All right, so that is creating an audience, creating a test user and a segment inside audiences. That is how to set up your messages via push, templates, automated, or even in-app. I highly recommend that you come back here and play with these and make sure that you're sending things to your test devices and saving them as giraffes prior to sending them out. And when you're done playing with one, you can go to this right corner over here and delete it. All right, thank you. This has been the tutorial for your OneSignal app notifications.